There are so many ways to be creative with color in Illustrator, including applying gradients to your artwork. A gradient is a blend between two or more colors, like you see in this shape. To finish this icon artwork, you'll apply an existing gradient, then edit that gradient to suit your design needs. If you'd like to follow along, you can open this document from the practice files for this tutorial. You'll start by filling this shape with a gradient. So with the selection tool selected, click in this background shape to select it. To fill a shape with a gradient, click the Fill Color in the Properties panel on the right, and make sure that the swatches are chosen so you can see the default color swatches you can use. Illustrator documents come with a series of default gradient swatches. Try clicking these gradient swatches one at a time to see how they affect the fill of the shape. Gradients can add interest, depth, and dimension to your artwork. And in Illustrator, gradients can be applied to the fill or stroke of most objects. Make sure you finish by applying the gradient called white-black here. Once you apply a gradient, you can then edit the colors as well as how it appears in the selected artwork. To edit the gradient, click the Gradient Options button at the bottom of the panel to show the gradient panel. You can move the gradient panel around if you need by dragging the title bar at the top. In the gradient panel, there are a lot of options for editing a gradient, but you'll simply focus on editing the colors in this gradient. Since you applied the gradient to the fill of this shape, you need to make sure you're editing the fill in the gradient panel and not the stroke. So click the fill box so it's on top if it isn't already. Whichever is on top, the fill or the stroke, is what you change for the selected artwork. This color bar shows you the overall color gradation you see in the artwork. These two little color circles, which are called color stops, represent the colors in the gradient. You should see white and black. Drag this white color stop to the right and watch what happens to the artwork when you release it. Dragging it closer to the second color means the transition from white to black in this case is much shorter. Drag that white color stop back to the left end. If you want to change the colors in a gradient, you can edit each color separately. Double-click the white color stop to edit it so that you can see the saved color swatches that come with the document. Click the Swatches button. Then select the color named Cream. To change the other color in the gradient, click in the Gradient panel to hide the swatches. Then double-click the black color stop. Select the color swatch named Blue in the panel. With the colors set, you can now edit the gradient within this shape using the Gradient tool. Click the X at the top of the gradient panel so you can close it. In the Tools panel on the left, select the Gradient tool, and you should see a bar appear across the fill of the shape. This shows the direction and length of the gradient fill. You can also see the two colors on either end, those color stops you saw in the Gradient panel. To change the direction and length of the gradient, you'll drag across the object. So starting toward the bottom of the shape, press and drag up to almost the top. After you release the mouse, you just change the direction of the gradient, and you also set the length of the gradient, which is how long it takes to blend from the cream color to the blue color. So that you can deselect the artwork, choose Select, Deselect. Adding gradients to artwork can open doors to new types of creativity. You should now be able to use gradients to do things like add depth to a button, or create the perfect setting sun for a poster, for instance.